In our news bulletin for this evening, the official cyclone season ends today, but the new Meteorological Service reminds the public to remain on alert for unexpected disasters. A new book publication launched in New Zealand covers 200 years of Niue's history. The last Niue Primary Sports Day at Halamahanga Sports Ground was held yesterday. Niue touch teams put their best foot forward to compete in the Touch World Cup competition in Coffs Coast in Australia. Today marks the end of the official cyclone season, but the Niue Meteorological Service serves a reminder that there is still potential for natural disasters to occur outside of the season. Cyclone season for the Pacific is normally observed from the 1st of November until the 30th of April. Niue Met Service Manager Sionita Sipuliatoa says, although this marks the conclusion of the official season, the community should always be prepared and on the alert because the forces of nature are sometimes unpredictable. This season has seen approximately 7 cyclones brewing within the region, and the Niue Met Service says they're thankful that this time round Niue was not directly affected, having only experienced some strong winds and heavy downpours, unlike neighbouring islands like Vanuatu, Kiribati and Tuvalu, who were affected by Cyclone Pam. A new publication launched in New Zealand this month reflecting a section of Niue's history has received some positive reviews. Niue 1774 to 1974 covers 200 years of contact and change, weaves in-depth research done by Margaret Pointer in Niue and New Zealand and brings to life the story of Niue. This is Margaret Pointer's second book in relation to Niue, with her first publication, My Heart Cries a Little, a depiction of a story of Niue soldiers and contributions to the efforts of the First World War. Author Margaret Pointer says that Niuean history reflects the main themes of Pacific history, such as European exploration and discovery, missionaries and introduction of Christianity, whalers and traders and settlers with their money and their diseases, imperial rivalry and colonial rule, decolonization and self-determination. Premier Tokitalangi was also at the launching of this book in Wellington, where he said while it is an European version of Niuean history, this does not matter as the island discovered after it started Taonga Niue, the Cultural Heritage Division, some 10 years ago. Premier Talangi has been quoted that this could be the first full history on the colonial era on the island, that perhaps will be the second most important book after the Bible. The Early Childhood Education and Niue Primary School Annual Sports Day was finally held yesterday after being postponed from last term. Youngsters were all set and ready for what would be the very last sports day to be held on the Halamahanga school grounds. The day started off with a blessing from the Ekalesia Niue President, Reverend Aifulia Pomale, that opened up the marching, and judges for the march past were representatives from the New Zealand Army, the Niue High School principal, and a representative from the Boys Brigade. Below, the reigning champions from last year began the marching in their team colours black and yellow and was led by Aruki Mongavalu. They were followed by the team of Hahave in blue, led by Giselle Mgoya, and their team motto for the day, no guts, no glory. Tufu followed in dark green with their leader, Samalai Silingi, and the final team in the vibrant colour red, with Baiko team led by Helen Tukutama. Following was the early childhood education students who were accompanied by parents and teachers. Although their march past was not judged, they looked very smart wearing their orange colour t-shirts. The acting premier, Honourable Potosi Bili, who was also a teacher in his day, had a few opening remarks where he reminisced about the history of Niue Primary School since the schools were amalgamated back in 1989. Since then, it has been 26 years. He made mention of the leadership during those years with the first Niue Primary School principal, Honourable Kupa Mangtungia. He was followed by Mrs. Janet Tasmania, and now we have the current principal, Itzi Tukitonga. The government representative commended all for a job well done for the past 26 years. One of the judges announced the results of the marching. And third placing went to Tufu. Second equal went to Malo and Paeko. And the No Guts, No Glory team of Hahave winning the championship for marching for this year. The speeches also included the Niue Primary School principal, Itsituki Tonga, who encouraged the young students to do their best and to participate in all events, especially for those in Year 6 who would be leaving Niue Primary School to join Niue High School next year. The early childhood education students started their series of events with the 50-meter run, one-legged race, the sack races, as well as relay. The champions for the day, according to age categories, for the ECE Sports Champion, for the girls, went to Wiliholo Manongi Panama, and for the boys, Shatorius Peter. Year 1 girls, Shamilia Sekimotu, and for the boys, Taliu Tohvaka. For Year 2, Juliana Kifoto for the girls, and Joshua Buckner for the boys. Year 3 girls champion went to Diana Randrole and Willem Dalesi for the boys. Year 4 girls champion went to Sally Beth Sanitama and Tangawaita Tukuitonga for the boys. Year 5, Shitoria Tafatu and Chadson Siakimotu. And for Year 6, that went to Charlotte Hayosi and Aruki Mongavalu. The Sika champion for the boys overall went to Puleala Sione, and the coconut throwing or rolling, all for a new champion for the girls, went to Onga Hubert. The overall scores for the team points, Malo came out on top, second went to Paeko, third to Tufu, and fourth Hahave. As the day came to an end, the Niue Primary School Sports Day also marks the end of an era, with some very exhausted youngsters who will be remembered as the last group to enjoy Sports Day at the Halamahanga school grounds. Australia is hosting the 8th Touch World Cup in Coffs Coast with 25 nations competing over a course of 10 days. Niue has 4 teams registered, one in the open mixed, one for men's 40s, men's 50s and the senior mixed. Teams have been made up of a mixture of players from Niuean communities in Australia and New Zealand. So far, the open mixed team have won their games against China 9-4. They lost a game to Scotland 8-5. The men's 40s team played Fiji and scored 9-2, winning that game. Then they went up against England. They lost 6-1. New Zealand versus Niue, they lost 10-2, and they have a few more games left to go. The men's 50s, Niue is up against Italy. They lost 11-2. The game against Australia was a loss of 21-1. The draw with Japan with 3-all, and they have 4 more games to go. Senior mixed team against England scored 14 tries, 0 to Niue. The game against Australia scored 18 tries to Niue's 1. The game against New Zealand scored 21 to Niue's 1. And the game with Netherlands, Niue got 2 and Netherlands 7. The game against Singapore, Niue was leading 5-1, but the game was called off due to bad weather. Competition has been tough, but the teams are giving their best, and games yesterday were cut short due to the weather. Australia and New Zealand have proven to be a dominant force to be reckoned with, having won most of the championships since the Touch World Cup started back in 1988. And that concludes our news bulletin for this evening. We do hope you can join us again next week, and do have an enjoyable weekend ahead.